Today we have to go through the microscopy, that is the characterization of the particle size. There are various methods like say microscopy, scanning electron microscopy, sieving method, Coulter counter method, and the laser scattering method. So what these methods are and what are their details, that we will see in today's lecture. And if time permits, we will continue, we will begin the next lecture also in today's lecture. So as I said that microscopy, it is the lab method in which we used to observe the particles under the microscope through the ocular micrometer, and just by counting the particle size that can be determined. The second most advanced technique, which is said to be the SEM, scanning electron microscopy. The details associated with the scanning electron microscopy already we saw in our previous lecture while characterizing the crystal structures. So the electron microscopy, it is for shape and size measurement of particles with very high resolution, and that's why it is the very costly method. The next method is said to be the sieving method. Sieving method, that is the quantitative method for the determination and distribution analysis of the particle size. Now, what the sieving method is? The sieving method that will consist of a nest of sieves. The sieves that will going to be placed one above onto the another. The topmost sieve, that is with the coarse size, and the sieve just at the bottom, near at the bottom, that is the sieve with the fine size, and at the bottom you will going to find the collecting pan. So these are into the decreasing order of their size, and this is used for segregation, for distribution of the particle size. The material that is going to be placed at the top and it is going to be shaken. So the particles, they will going to be retained onto each and every sieve, whereas the finest particle, they will be collected at the bottom. So this method is for size more than that of the 50 micrometer. The nest of standard size sieves, that is the coarsest on top and the finest on the bottom, is mounted on sieve shaker. Certain weight amount of each charge on the top, and sieve shaker shaken for 10 to 15 minutes. This is going to be shaken for the 10 to 15 minutes. So the amount retained on each sieve is noted. Onto each sieve, you will going to find some amount of particles, they will going to be retained, whereas the fine particles, they will pass down onto the next one. So the weight size is calculated for each sieve set, and then average is calculated. So this is said to be the sieving method. The next method is the Coulter counter method. Is there any issue? Is it audible to all? Is it audible to all? So we were on to the particle size determination method. As I said that here particularly the particles, they will be allowed to pass through the different electrodes, and when the particles, they will passes through the electrode, at that time the voltage, current, capacitance, and the resistance, that will going to be measured. When particles, they will traverses the measurement zone, there is a fluctuation, there is a alteration into these, And this is the most widely used method in case of the pharmaceutical industry. That is the Coulter counter method for the particle size determination. The laser light scattering method. This method is used for particles within the range of 0.02 to 1000 micrometers. So that means this is useful for the sub-micron range of the particles. So the light scattered through the various angles, and the scattered light that is going to be measured for its intensity, measurement of intensity of the scattered light for the process of determination of the particle size. So that is the principle, that is the uh, principle through which, onto which this particular method that will work. So it is also known as the DLS method. DLS, that is nothing but the dynamic light scattering method. So here you can see that how it will work. The laser light that is going to be fall onto the particle, then it is going to be detected, then it is going to be recorded in the form of the auto correlator, and then it is deconvolution. Then it is going to be represented. The disadvantage associated with the light laser light scattering or the DLS method is that it is very expensive method, and the single measurement that will occur within a fraction of second, it will take very least time, 0.001 second. Now there are other methods also, but these are outdated one and are time consuming. That's why such outdated and time consuming other methods that are no more going to be used in case of the industry for the determination of the particle size. So in this particularly what we have studied the polymorphism, we have studied the particle size, we have studied the characterization of the particle size. So with this particularly, this module that will end here only. We will continue with the another module. So again from this same pre-formulation, let's continue with the some of the parameters. So in our previous lectures, we have studied the different parameters like say the physical shape, like say the crystalline form, like say the amorphous form, polymorphs. Then we have studied the particle size. Then we have studied the particle shape. We had studied the hydrates. We have studied the solvates. We had studied the enantiotropes, and we have studied the monotropes. Now, in this particular lecture, or in the coming lecture, we will going to study the details associated with the process, with the next parameter, physical property, which is said to be the solubility, and the relation of the solubility in association with that of the pH, with that of the pKa, with that of the solubility. So particularly the details, particularly the content associated with the solubility are the need of the solubility in case of the drug. Then what is the solubility? What is its significance in case of the pre-formulation? What is the minimum expected solubility in case of pre-formulation, in case of designing of the dosage form? Determining the nature of drug and salt formation, how the salt formation that will be carried out and the details associated with that. Reducing the solubility, every time increasing the solubility, that may not be the intention. Sometimes there is a need to reduce the solubility also. So what are the cases when we can go for reducing the solubility? How we can go for the modulating the solubility in the form of the salt formation? There are n number of methods which are useful in order to improve the solubility of an API. What is the intrinsic solubility? That is the fundamental property of any substance. How to calculate the intrinsic solubility, the definition of solubility and classification, how to measure the solubility, the pH, importance of the pH in formulation, ionization constant, the relationship of pH and pKa, then the equation which is said to be the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation, and the use of this particular equation, then the relationship between pH, pKa and solubility, how to determine the pKa and what is the importance of pKa. So all these are the details that we will going to study in the coming as well as the our next subsequent lectures. So the learning objective associated with this particular module is to understand the concept of solubility, importance of solubility in pre-formulation, concept of pH and pKa, interrelationship of solubility, pH and pKa, the methods of improving the solubility, and the lesson that will go through the content, then methods, then characterization, then the importance and the characterization of pKa. So you might be remembering that we had already studied the amorphous form and the crystalline form. So what is the necessity, or why the crystalline form, or why the amorphous form, or why the different polymorphs they need to be studied, right? We know everyone they will be having their significance. Now when we are talking about the amorphous form, what is the significance? Why we have studied the amorphous form? We know the reason that the amorphous form that is going to be studied in order to improve the solubility, in order to improve the onset of action. So the API with the amorphous nature, the API with the small particle size that is useful for giving the better solubility. Now, what particularly this solubility is, let us say, for example, this is the dosage form, like say the tablet that will go inside of the stomach. In case of stomach, this tablet that will undergo the process of disintegration, then it will undergo the dissolution, and then through the biological membrane, it will permeate and then it will get absorbed. So in order to get absorbed, there is a need to have the permeability, and in order to get the permeability, there is a need to have the solubility. So the passage through this biological membrane that will depend on the solubility, that will depend on the permeability. And the relationship associated with the solubility and permeability we will study while studying the BCS classification, that is the biopharmaceutical classification system. So at present moment, our focus that is onto the solubility. So the drug need to go into solution and then cross the biomembrane for absorption. You can see that the drug that will get solubilized, and then the drug that is going to be permeated through the biological membrane, and then it will get absorbed. After permeation through the biological membrane, the drug that will get absorbed. So solubility is what? Solubility, it is nothing but the extent of solute dissolved in a unit amount of solvent in certain conditions of temperature and pH. Yes, of course, the solubility that is dependent onto the temperature, the solubility that is dependent onto the pH. What is the solubility? The extent of solute dissolved in a unit amount of solvent. Solvent, the particular medium through which or into which the solute that is going to be dissolved. This is the solute. Solute is the solid substance, and the solvent that is the liquid one. So when the solute that will get added, and when there is an effect of temperature and pH, so that will lead to the there is a normal water, there is a cold water, and there is a hot water. Now, just by thumb rule, if we see what the answer you may give, suppose if we are going on trying to dissolve the sugar from cold water to normal water to hot water, right? As we will move from cold to normal to hot, here the more and more sugar that will get dissolved, than this and then this. So very least amount of sugar that will get dissolved into the cold water, larger amount into the normal water, and still more larger amount that can be dissolved into the hot water. So that means the solubility that will goes on increasing upon increasing into the temperature. So that is what is the outcome. Solubility in pre-formulation. The minimum requirement of API for pre-formulation is to determine the solubility, to determine the pKa, to determine and pKa that will maintains and improves the solubility, bioavailability, stability, and the powder properties. What is the minimum expected solubility? For every drug, there is a need to have the minimum expected solubility, and if it is not, then there is a need to go for improving the solubility by either of the method, either by increasing temperature, altering pH, or with the help of formation of the complexes, or by any method. There are n number of methods. We are going to come to know that what all these are. So drug with water solubility, if it is less than 10 milligram per ml over the pH range of 1 to 7 at 37 degrees Celsius temperature, that will shows the potential bioavailability problem. So it is advisable that if we will be having a constant pH of 1 to 7 and temperature of 37 degree, the amount of solubility or the amount of solute that is to be dissolved, that should be larger than that of the 10 milligram per ml. If it is less than that, then it will create the bioavailability problems. So lower limit, that is below this, absorption and bioavailability problem that will occur of intrinsic dissolution rate is 1 milligram per centimeter square per minute. So the lower limit of dissolution rate is 0.1 milligram per centimeter square per minute. The limit of solubility is 1 milligram per ml. If solubility is then less than 1 milligram per ml, then as I already said that we need to go for improvement of the solubility. So we can go for improving the solubility, and it is going to be required from 1 to 10 milligram per ml through the process what is known as the formation of the salts. There are certain drugs, like in case of the neutral molecules, say glycosides, steroids, alcohols, or for API, which have pKa value less than that of the 3 for a base or more than that of the 10 for an acid. If the nature of the molecule that is a neutral one, and if their pKa value that is less than 3, and if it is a base, if the value is more than 10, value means value of pKa, it is more than 10, and if it is an acid, then in such a cases they will face the problem of improvement of the solubility. Then in this condition, what is necessary to administer them in the form of the either encapsulated form, like say in the form of the soft gelatin capsules. So if salt form is not possible, then liquid filling in soft or hard gelatin capsule, that will remain the option for such agents, that is the neutral agent with acid or basic characteristics, and their pKa value if it is more than 10 for acid and less than 3 for the base respectively. Now there is need to determine the nature of the drug and the salt selection. Now this can be determined based on their solubility in case of acid, based on their solubility in uh, aqueous medium as far as acids and bases are concerned. So which will determine their nature, whether they are weakly acidic, weakly basic, amphoteric or neutral, and the need which is arise, the need which is required, whether to go with the salt formation or not. Now consider the very first condition, that if the solubility that is going to be improved in acid to and compared to the aqueous solubility, and if there is no increase into the solubility compared to that of the solubility in case of the aqueous medium, then we can say that the nature of the drug that is the weakly basic. How you will going to remember this? If the solubility that is increased in acid, if it is not increased in case of base, then the nature of the drug is base. So that is opposite one. So in such a case, there is need to measure the pKa. The pKa can be measured by, and the salt that should be formed, the salt formation that is advisable. Exactly opposite is the case if the drug substance may not improving, may not giving the solubility in case of the acid. When we are comparing it with that of the aqueous one, there is no solubility. But if it is going to be giving the solubility, if it is getting increase in case of base, then what will be the nature of the drug? The nature of the drug is, as it is improving its solubility in case of the base, that means its nature is weakly acidic. So just by thumb rule, which just now I told, then in such case also there is a need to go for measurement of the pKa and the salt that should be formed. When the drug that is going to be giving solubility in case of acid as well as in case of base compared to that of the aqueous solubility, that means in case of the aqueous liquid, aqueous medium, they are not improving, they are not giving their solubility. But in case of acids and the bases, they are giving their solubility. It is going to be increased. Then in such a case, we can say that the nature of the drug that is amphoteric one. These are said to be the Zwetterian. And thus they will going to possess the two different pKa values. So we cannot proceed with the salt formation, or the salt that cannot be formed. If the nature of the drug is such that it neither improve its solubility in case of acid as well as in case of base, then in that case these drugs are said to be neutral molecules. As these are neutral, as their solubility won't get increased either in acid or base, so there is no measurable pKa value, and the solubility manipulation by solvent or complexation that is advisable in such a case. So this is the way by which we can go for determining the nature of drug and the salt selection. So what we saw till now, we saw the need of the drug, we saw the solubility, we saw the solubility in pre-formulation, the minimum expected solubility, and determining the nature of drug and salt formation. So based on the solubility, based